Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first ever Women's Summit series. So just want to say good evening, good afternoon, good morning from wherever you are. I appreciate you joining us today. I am. It's fascinating to see how many people signed up for this, and I'm really grateful to be able to learn all this stuff with you because a lot of this stuff is very new to me and very uncomfortable to me. So this all started from me firing off a Facebook post because I was frustrated that all the articles coming in were from dudes. And so of course I learned a lot from this Facebook post, like we all do when we decide to fire off at night on Facebook. So when I put this out there, I asked, why am I not getting more stuff from women? And of course, you guys told me. And I learned a lot from this, not just about what's holding us back, but also what holds me back. And I think a lot of this about time. So before I introduce Amber, I do have another announcement. Besides putting together this series, I also made the decision to hire a managing editor. So I would love your, I'm excited about this. So what this means for us is that now I have someone who can do things like put together editorial calendars and proactively reach out to you and ask you for articles so that you don't have to just randomly submit things, and we can actually be a little bit more intentional about engaging all of you into what we do. So what I would like for you to do is, if you would like to be interviewed, would like to write an article, would like to be on a podcast, would like to be would like to be a part of any kind of a panel in a presentation, just email me that, and we'll talk more about that throughout this series. So when I realized we had some issues within why we don't promote ourselves and why we're not proactive about sharing our amazing talents with this industry, I reached out to Amber Hurdle. And in the process of getting to know Amber, she's just like she is on her videos. She's extremely real, extremely approachable, and extremely fun to be around. And she really gets us. Amber was a teen mom before she decided to jump into this. She didn't have a lot given to her. She pulled herself up, and she's become a pretty big powerhouse in the professional speaking world and the talent optimization world. She really understands people. And I think that you're really going to enjoy hearing from her on throughout this whole series about thought leadership. This is interactive, so if you have questions, we have a chat box and there's a question box. There's an ability there also to raise your hand. If you raise your hand, I may give you the mic, so be prepared to do that. If you don't actually want to turn on your mic or don't want to be called upon, just type in your question in chat.
We may have lost Amy via the internet. This is Corinne, guys. Sorry, I'm just jumping in here. I'm sure she'll be joining us. There, she's back.
There she's back. She's a little pixely, but she's back.
Okay, I'm going to turn off my camera in just a second. Can you hear me there?
Yes.
Where did I leave off? Because I was on a roll.
Amy, you were saying that this is interactive.
Yes. And to put the questions in if they don't want to be heard, and to raise their hand if they're willing to go on the mic.
Okay, perfect. So what I'm going to do is, Amber, I'm going to let you get started and finish telling us a little bit about your background, and I'm going to move to closer to the router and get my internet back on track.
Okay. I'm going to post in the Facebook group my setup because it's pretty funny. I am actually technically on vacation, so this is my view, but you can't see me if you see the beautiful Gulf Coast. So I feel very appropriate for who I'm speaking with today. And this is vacation hair braids. So next week you'll see my office in a little more professional Amber, but you can get blazers at Old Navy in Miramar Beach. Who knew? So let's just jump in. I would say that the reason why I am so passionate about personal branding is because, to me, personal branding doesn't necessarily mean like being overly promoting or like some kind of personal a PR campaign. It's not about trying to become someone that you're not or position yourself in a way that's not authentic to you. To me, personal branding is about going to U University and really getting clear about what it is that makes you unique, what type of gifts and talents, what type of experience you bring to the table, so that you can then serve others with those gifts and that experience. And that's what, to me, professional life is all about. It's about being able to personify the natural things that you already have inside of you. And we're all wired a certain way. We could do psychoanalytic tools and all different kinds of things to figure out what makes us tick. But then we also have life experience. So the reason why this has become so important to me is because, or has always been so important to me, is because I did get knocked up at 16. And that was a really difficult experience, to say the least. And I was 1 week on Channel 4 News at 6 and 10. Video cameras were following me around school because I was such a great kid. And I'm, air quotes around that. I was like the Kardashian of living in high school. And it was quite a fall from grace, where a couple weeks later I found out I was pregnant. So it was a huge fall. Obviously, or maybe not so obviously, I resigned from all of my leadership positions and I became a mother. So lots of failure, lots of failing forward, lots of scraping, the dust off of me and getting up and trying it again. There was a season where I worked 4 jobs at one point, and there was 2 nights out of every week where I went from job to job to job. And I didn't even sleep. I just went home and I showered and I bawled in the shower. And then I was like, suck it up, Buttercup. You got a human to keep alive. So because of her and because of what she meant to me, I had her in an educational preschool. And because she's wicked smart, she still is. And so that was my choice. And I had a really big why for getting up and grinding and just, pulling on that grit factor. And so what I realized, not so officially, is that I was getting favor from various bosses. Like, I could just show up in my Applebee's uniform and pick up shifts where I didn't necessarily have to be on the schedule, or I would get a job that I wasn't necessarily qualified for because, of course, I had to drop out of college to feed my kid, even though I attempted college. There's just a lot that I was noticing that people treated me different than everyone else. So I started honing in on that. I had no idea what personal branding was at the time. I just assumed it was professional reputation, which essentially it is even to this day, even though we use buzzwords. And so my professional reputation included that I was a hard worker, that I would get it done yesterday, and I was really good with people, and they can ask me to do anything and I would just do it, no questions asked. And so I made sure that I was always trying to elevate those areas for me so that I could continue to get more money, more shifts, better shifts, promotions, whatever that looked like. And then one day, once I was kind of in my career and I'd recovered from the worst part of teen motherhood and kind of had my poop in a group just enough to get by and not have my car, almost repossessed every month. I mean, we're not talking like balling here. We're just talking about like not in the ditches anymore. I realized that there was this whole thing called public relations, and that there was something called internal relations, and that's what I really enjoyed studying. So I went back to college. There's my background. I can't say, I mean, have I worked with celebrities? Yes. Have I worked with Fortune 100s? Yes. But really, none of that matters. What matters is that I did this for myself, and I'm going to dare you to do it too. So today, I want you to find your grit. Today, I want you to say, you know what, this isn't about self-promotion. This is about stepping more into who I already am, how I was already desired. And as women, we don't like to do this. We don't like to toot our own horn. We won't tell the men on here, but we see that you do sometimes, not all of you. So earmuffs if you don't like hearing that. It's just that men are naturally more inclined to self-promote. It's just, I'm not trying to marginalize men. I have a fantastic dad, 4 brothers, a son, love men, okay? But there's just different personalities and different ways that we approach things. So I want you to think about, the more people understand what you're about and the value that you add, the more opportunity you have to serve other people. So today we're talking about how to position yourself, why it matters, and how you can do it easily. Even though, I mean, we all have all kinds of things going on. So I just want you to put in the chat if you are a manager of other people, just yes or no. I'm going to be watching the chat. All right, so I manage other people. I got in there. I don't see anybody else's. Are we not chatty today? Okay, so nobody manages other people. I want you to put in the chat yes if you are married, if you have a husband. Okay, I want you to put in, what's that?
I said, wow, it's 45 years. There's a lot of here. Few of us aren't married. Most people are, and almost all of them are managers.
Yeah. How many of you have kids? Let's see that. Yes, if you have kids. Can you see their answers in the chat? I'm not seeing anything in the chat. Well, okay, moving right along. We won't use the chat.
Yes, 3 children. Yes, where's the chat? Married,
Okay.
married with kids. Married, have 1 child. 4 kids.
How many of you volunteer? How many of you are involved in your community, in your church, and nonprofits?
Yes, volunteer. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
No, yes. Church, volunteer. Yes, I volunteer. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So would it be safe to say then
Kids and neglect and abuse cases, all found the church funds, volunteer with hospice. Yeah, these are giving women.
yeah, okay. So I think that we can all agree that we love serving other people. That's like a really common thread with a female personality in general. And so as we are thinking about positioning yourself, I want you to do what I kind of just did for you at the beginning of this presentation, and that's to just look back. I want you to follow your breadcrumbs. And so think about how you showed up for different groups in your life. So maybe who were you to your family growing up? Were you the one that always made everybody laugh? Were you the one who was always helping your mom? Were you the tomboy that played football out back with your dad? What was that persona that you had in your family? Like if everybody had a little title, what would your title be? How did you show up in high school? How did you show up in college? Are you the person who, when you had your first job, you were the one that like took the birthday card around to everybody and had them sign it? Or were you the person who was more like, leave me alone, I'm going to get stuff done, and you got it done, and everybody knew that about you, that if they would just let you go, they could wind you up and let you go, you would get it done. So I want you to start thinking about those things and then start thinking about the common threads. And once you have that, and you can just write this in your notes, reflect on how you showed up in various areas and various seasons of your life. Importantly, I want you to think about your body of accomplishments. And I don't want you to limit that to the awards that you have won. You just told us that you are wives, you are mothers, you're volunteers, you're managers. Of all of those various roles, what have you accomplished? Now, here's another thing. Women tend to downplay our accomplishments. So I don't know about you, but I've got my second child is about to turn 18 years old in December. Part of my body of accomplishments is I have kept 2 humans alive into adulthood, and hopefully both of them will be they will be very productive adults. And so that is an accomplishment. That shows leadership. So I don't want you to poo-poo anything that is on that list. So the second thing I want you to write down, this is your homework. You're like, oh my gosh, Amber, you're giving us homework. Yes, okay. This is your quiet journal time. If you don't have quiet journal time, then I challenge you to take 10 minutes of your life, and I don't care if it's on a cocktail napkin. I just want you to start writing this stuff down in your own quiet presence without all the other responsibilities that you have. So think about your body of accomplishments. It can be awards. It could be that, your revenue was the most out of everyone in your area. Whatever that looks like, I want you to write those things down. That is a part of your brand. Now, when I get up on a stage or I get in front of a camera like this, I tell my teen mom story. Not because I'm not 41 years old and way past that and living a pretty darn good life. It's because that story resonates with people. And so as you think about how you showed up, and you think about what your body of accomplishments are. And there's several other things we can do too, but in the interest of time, let's just focus on those 2 things. I want you to think about, okay, now what is my story? How did I get to where I am today? Because that's the part that's going to make you unique. When I'm looking at people's personal brands, I want to know what you do, who you do it for, and how you do it uniquely. If you want to jot that down, I'll say it again. What you do, how you do it, what you do, who you do it for, and how you do it uniquely. So you might be a general manager, okay? What you do is you're a general manager in the vacation rental industry, okay? Who do you do that for? Families worldwide who are looking for experiences. Notice I didn't just say guests. I want you to be very specific about who those people are that you serve. It could be that you have an internal audience. It could be that you're human resources and that you serve the people of the company that you work for. Those are your customers. But the how you do it uniquely part is where we all get tripped up. And that's where I want you to look to your story. That's when I want you to look to your breadcrumbs. That's when I want you to look to your body of accomplishments. And when I get on a stage and I start talking about personal branding, it's not just because I have a PR degree and an organizational communication minor and this certification and that award and wonk, 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 and who really gives a rip. I got knocked up when I was 16 and I live a pretty ridiculously happy life now. Okay, so you can listen to me because I did it for myself. That's my story. No other speaker, I mean, maybe some other speakers can say that, but they can't tell my story. They weren't on Channel 4 News at 6 and 10 for a week while everybody was like, oh, look how great Amber is, and then had a huge fall from grace and had to dig herself out of that hole. They don't have that story. They didn't go to school where you went to school. They don't have your experience of loss, of love, of all the things that happens in your life. And so those things, you're like, okay, Amber, how does this fit into becoming a thought leader? Slow down. People don't give a rat's behind about your bullet list of this is this and that is that. People are going to buy from you and they're going to buy your ideas if they know, like, and trust you. And if somebody showed up on your front doorstep and started telling you, you know, let me tell you about all the technical components of this phone, you would be like, get off my stoop, man, go away. But if they said, hey, I want to tell you about your neighbor who just bought this phone, and they were able to see in real video time their parents that they haven't been able to see in 3 years because of travel or sickness or whatever, you would probably want that thing. You wouldn't be like a 64 megabytes of storage. I don't even know if that's a thing, but that's why I want you to be really super obsessive over what it is that you offer in story form, not in, features. It's not even in benefits. What you do and what your personal brand has a big with them component. It's what's in it for me. What's in it for somebody to listen to your ideas? And I'll say collectively, in an industry that is dominated by women, where the most successful people are women, it is quite a shame that the thought leadership is almost exclusively male. And now the consequence of that is that the female perspective, that limitless potential, that feminine energy, it's not like girl versus boy. Feminine, masculine energy are just different. Most of the time, women do tend to have a little more feminine energy. But what if all of you brought that limitless potential, that malleable clay to the industry, that let's see what can happen, as opposed to that masculine energy, which is equally as needed to bring life to that limitless potential. The masculine energy is get it done, let's do it, to-do list, checklist, GSD. Okay, we need that sometimes, but if we never get creative and if we never think about, let's be curious, how can we do this differently? How can we elevate this entire industry together? How can we work smarter? Because y'all are kind of still in the wild, wild west, right? You're still figuring this out. There's not a ton of best practices. But what if all of that feminine energy came and said, let's work on this together. Let's bring these brilliant minds with all the experience that you listed in the chat. And then you bring the masculine energy to execute. What would it look like in your industry then? And so I want you to understand that you are, in fact, an expert. You have experience both in the industry and in life. And I want you to bring that to the table. Now, what happens when you don't step into your authority? You can't complain about what you're not willing to contribute to. And so I'm sure many of you are frustrated at times of how the industry might, what the industry direction might be going. And if you're not out there putting yourself out there and contributing to the public discourse, or at least the industry discourse, there's really not a whole lot you can say. And I just want you to think about every mom, every child, even every dad, every couple, every newlywed, every person who just wants to get away from it all. What's their experience like if you have a say so in it? Because aren't we all? I have a hospitality background. I didn't mention that, but I'm, hotels, former Gaylord, and I work with tons of luxury resorts. Or before COVID, I did. And it's such a magical thing to be able to create those experiences, because it's not just about heads and beds. It's about the pictures that they're going to have forever. It's about the conversations that they're having around the Thanksgiving table. It's about the stories they're telling their children, their grandchildren, and their great grandchildren. And you get to be a part of that. So you can step back and be like, all right, guys, do your thing. I want you to put in the chat room if you want to punch the man in the throat who created fluorescent light bulbs in bathrooms. Amy, can you help me there? Because I can't see the chat. just yes.
Yes, amen. Oh yes, yes, knock him out. Yes.
Right? I mean, just right here. Okay.
That's right. No hostility. Oh gosh, please come on.
It was a man, and men are like, this is efficient. Let's do it that way. And women come in and we're like, I look like death, and we have no idea how we're showing up in the world. Okay, so all jokes aside, it's that kind of stuff. It's the height of the toilet. I mean, it's like so many different things that we experience day to day, and just the whole overall experience of what is this going to be like for my company? What is this going to be like? I mean, just think about COVID. I'm a hotel girl. I'm a luxury hotel girl. But when I've traveled since COVID, I've stayed in vacation rentals because I feel safer. And so if this is the way that the world is going, then what can you do to impact that? Don't just take a step back. Don't just say the boys are going to handle this. This is your time to bring your story and your authority in to start influencing both how things operate internally to make things more efficient and more in alignment with your values and for your people's values, the people you lead, but also the experience of the guests. So in the interest of time, I'm going to move on. I want you to take all of that. I want you to take your positioning, and I want you to take the why this matters. And then I want you to think about day to day, how are we going to fit this in? Because you listed wife, mom, leader, sister, mother, all those type of things. I want you to think about just every day, how can you step into your own greatness and contribute to the bigger picture with your thought leadership? So the very first thing I want you to do, because a lot of women tell me like, well, I don't have anything to offer. I don't have anything to offer new. Burnt, first of all. I thought everybody knew about personal branding. I didn't know that everybody wasn't self-aware. I thought everybody knew how to do marketing and, all different kinds of things that I bring to the table. And it's simply not true. So first of all, I want you to get over that is I don't have anything of value to add, because you do. Think about all the new people to your industry, or just how baby your industry is in general. So people need to know, and most of the time people need to hear things like 8 times before it registers anyways. The second thing I want you to get over is imposter syndrome. Who am I? Who am I to bring this to the table? Who are you not to? Okay. Who are you not to? How dare you not bring your brilliance to the table? Because then who are you letting down the process? They're going to go listen to Joe Schmo Schmuck and I'm not saying men versus women, I'm saying men and women. I'm just a self-promoter. All I care about is me, because these people do exist. Otherwise, you wouldn't have a bad taste in your mouth about thought leadership. All I care about is me. I'm self-serving. I just want my name out there. All I care is about money, and I really don't care about anybody else. That's not coming from a place of service. You're coming from a place of service. So you're going to let everybody in the industry listen to this guy or this girl and not you. So you're letting people down. I'm just going to put that Catholic guilt trip on you. So I want you to think about, okay, what can I do right now? What can I do today if I had only 24 hours to create some piece of content that would position me as an expert in my field. I want you to jot down, get with your team, get with your spouse or your best girlfriend or whoever you have drinks with and fuss about the industry or your problems or whatever with. And I want you to come up with, we'll say, I want you to come up with 20 questions that you routinely get asked, either by guests or by colleagues or by outside vendors, whatever that looks like, just 20 questions that you know that you repeatedly answer all of the time, okay? So for me, how do I get started as a thought leader? How do I know what makes me special or what makes me unique? How do I position myself as a leader to be in a more desirable role or to get better assignments? Those would be things that I get asked frequently. So just make that list. And then I want you to pick 4, your top 4. And then of those top 4, I want you to come up with 3 solutions. So let's just forget 3 of the 4. Let's just pick one topic. That one topic, you're going to have an opinion on it, just some kind of broad stroke, this is what I think. And then you're going to come up with 3 key points that you would tell whoever was sitting having coffee with you. If somebody came to you and asked you this question, this is exactly what you would tell them. These are the 3 things you need to know about this. And then you wrap it up by basically saying the thing that you said at the beginning. So I'm going to tell you what I'm going to say. I'm going to give you 3 reasons why that's true. And then I'm going to tell you what I just told you. That is as easy as it comes. And some of you are like, oh, I'm Smith Amber, I don't have a PhD degree like you. I'm not an author. Okay, cool. Awesome. This was like $12 at Best Buy. Here's my phone. I hit record and I say, hey, this is Amber Hurdle from Amber Hurdle Consulting. And today we're going to talk about what I'm going to tell you about. Point number 1, blah, 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 blah. Point number 2, blah, 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 blah. Point number 3, blah, 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 blah. All right, so today we covered blah, 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 blah. This is the call to action I want you to do. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next video. It's not hard. Your makeup doesn't have to be perfect. The beautiful thing about COVID, if there's a silver lining to this awful experience that we've all collectively been through globally, is that nobody cares anymore, okay? If your dog's barking, it's fine. If your kid runs through naked, that's fine. If your hair is like mine and it's coming undone and you're braided because you didn't bring any hair product to your beach house, it's fine. It's fine, okay? So I want you to get over that. I just want you to get content out routinely. And then I'm going to point you to my podcast that we're thinking about bringing back, but I did a 3-part series on getting in front of the media. Okay, and very practical. Is right after my book tour. I wrote The Bombshell Businesswoman: How to Become a Bold, Brave Female Entrepreneur, and I went all around the country promoting that. And so, in reflecting upon that, there's worksheets and everything. You can go on podcasts and they can ask you questions. Okay, and then that's like the easiest thing to do because you don't have to come up with content yourself. You just have to answer things. You can contribute to magazines like you're being asked to all the time. And I know that she has a strong editing staff, so you don't have to be perfect. You just have to have ideas and then ask for help. Crazy, I know, women asking for help. You can also be on YouTube. You can do Facebook Lives. You can write blog posts. You can do social media things. Quick little posts, stories, show the behind the scenes, show what's going on in your organization. Highlight the people who work for you, share the testimonials that you get, and do it from your position, okay? So it's not enough that you're creating content. If you want to be a thought leader, it's here's what's going on in the world, here's the news peg that I'm picking up from the media, and here's my opinion on it, and I'm going to do a quick video on that, and here's how it's going to impact our industry. So I think the big takeaways from today, and we've got way more to cover moving forward in the next 2 weeks, is that you are an expert. You have to follow your breadcrumbs to figure out why. It's super important that you participate in an industry that you dominate, right? Because if you don't, you're letting people down. And I want you every single day to think about a quick way that you can put a spin of your opinion and your expertise on whatever's going on in your world and put that out into the world so other people can learn from your brilliance. And I know we're right at 1:30. I can hang out for a little bit if there's questions, but I'll need help since I can't see those.
Yeah, we've only got a couple of minutes because right after this, we're going to switch over to a live stream with Heather Bayer. That's going to be on the women's page in Facebook. It's also on her YouTube channel, which is Vacation Rental Formula. And we have an exciting announcement about the Women's Summit there that she's going to help me with.
Yay.
But while I've got you, Amber, I think that that whole idea of the time, how much time a week do you spend putting out content?
Well,
That
I'm
is,
spoiled. I have a marketing manager. But if you have a marketing manager, then this is something that you can work on a content strategy. But if we're just talking about me, I probably spend between an hour and, depending on what we're doing, an hour and 3 hours a week, answering questions. Like for me to go into your Facebook group and simply answer your questions is positioning me as an expert in that community. So, you know, if you take 10 minutes on your phone while you're waiting on a doctor's appointment, that counts as thought leadership. It doesn't have to be something you do even every day.
yeah, speaking of, if you have questions, Amber has joined the Vacation Rental Women group, and she will be responding to those too in that forum. How can people get, like, as far as access your podcast and your blog, what is the best way for them to find you?
Just go to amberhurdle.com, like Amber Waves of Grain, hurdle like you jump over. And then you can go to the podcast. All the episodes are there. You could also find it in iTunes, Stitcher, get it on your Alexa. And you can find all of my social media on there as well.
I mean, I'm looking through the attendees that are here right now, the women who are on this currently. And these are some of the strongest, most skilled and talented women in the industry. From my perspective, because I do see a lot of these self-promoters driving a lot of the discussion in our industry.
Wonk, wonk.
I know. Tell me. I gotta write about it all the time. Yeah. So if these women that are on here today actually, you know, started contributing, it would help the industry so much. And I know
Yeah.
and I love what you said about really getting us to think about it as a service and not really just about self-promotion.
And
I
it is,
just,
it's
go
going to
ahead.
come full circle back to you too. I mean, I don't want you to be like a martyr about it. It's that if you're serving others, that is going to come back to you. That is going to elevate your business. A high tide raises all ships. And so by you contributing and encouraging other people to do the same because you are, now the whole experience is being elevated for everyone and makes life easier.
So one more thing, the name of your book again, someone's asking.
It's The Bombshell Businesswoman, How to Become a Bold, Brave Female Entrepreneur, and it's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, all that good jazz. And then we are wrapping up Velvet Machete Leadership. So that's the next book, and we'll talk in future experience of webinars like this about some opportunities there. So we're going to be launching the next round of our online certification course, where I'm heavily involved, and this is definitely an area where we dig into deeply, and I really push people. So more to come on that.
I was telling Corinne about you when we first started talking. She's on here too. And she's at Velvet Machete Leadership. I love that name. So, yeah. It's pretty great.
It's back to that balance of things, right? The machete cuts to the chase, it gets the attention, but the velvet wraps the message in a way that's appealing to the intended audience, and you have to have both in order to be a strong leader. So
I'm going to leave it on that because I can't do better. So next week, same time, same place. Amber, thank you. We'll see you on Facebook in a little bit.
All right, thanks, y'all.
Enjoy your vacation and happy birthday.
Thank you.